The whole point of this is that we tried to do a podcast in the early days of this podcast about how you make money from sync, and we realized we had no idea. We just didn't know what we were talking about, so we thought we'd bring somebody in that does know.
Let's talk about the master recording.
Yeah, it's not the composition. It's a rendering of the composition. It's
I like that.
Different set of rights, you know? If you're a band, been together, we wrote those original things and we're going to pitch them to see if we can get something going with sync. Please make an agreement amongst all your band members about what the splits are on the master recording, because that comes into play too. I've always said it's better to get 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
Hell yeah.
Welcome to Two Composers, Two Continents. This is a podcast about our lives making music together and the people we meet along the way. You can find us at Two Composers, Two Continents with the number 2 on YouTube, on Facebook, if you use Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and all of the other grams and anything else. I'm here. Oh, don't forget, like, subscribe, leave us some comments. We'll build the community. And I'm here with Jeffrey Megan.
Hello.
And we've got a guest again. We've got Brad Hatfield. Jeff, do you want to...
So Brad Hatfield is a 2-time Emmy-winning composer and arranger. For years, he played with the Boston Pops under the direction of John Williams and Keith Lockhart, playing piano and keyboards and arranging for artists like James Taylor, Susan Tedeschi, Demi Lovato, Darlene Love, Olita Adams, and Jim Belushi. His arrangements, orchestrations, and compositions have been performed by the Boston Pops, Houston Symphony, Rochester Symphony, and a few others as well. There's way too many film and TV credits to possibly name. He's now on the writing team of The Young and the Restless. His award-winning online music supervision class is still available at Berklee, so go sign up. On top of that, he's an absolute expert at the ins and outs of the music business, most notably writing music for sync. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Hatfield.
Hey, wow. Great to see both of you folks, and that was quite an intro.
Wow, yeah.
Yes, very important.
Yeah, we'll
now.
cut the YouTube short together where we just say he's just an expert. Right.
Yeah, okay. Just an expert. Editing.
I said all that.
But we should say that the whole point of this is that we tried to do a podcast in the early days of this podcast about how you make money from sync, and we realized we had no idea. We just didn't know what we were talking about, so we thought we'd bring somebody in that does know something about that, and that's the point of this.
Well, number one, I know you guys are doing pretty well because I know you're getting placed all the time, but it's an interesting thing about being in it and then also having to take care of the business. And in this day and age, it's possible to do them, the majority of it, by yourself. And if you don't want to fail, it's better that you know what you're doing.
Well, that's interesting because, but it's also one of the situations where I think most people don't do it by themselves and rely on another company or, and you're just maybe just signing something and agreeing to things that you don't even know what the hell they are. So,
no idea what, and some of the terminology, which is where we're going to start. I mean, I found things today when we were talking, I thought, well, I didn't even, never heard of that. Don't know what it means. Why don't we start, just because I'm aware that some of the students in different places that may watch this just won't know some of the terminology, and we should just do a little dictionary clarification. How about physically licensing? What does that even mean?
Well, what starts it all is somebody wanting to combine music with their story. So it could be an advertisement, it could be a TV show, it could be a film, it could be anything where you're taking music and combining it with somebody else's creative thing. It's that merge. So
that's sync, right?
You're combining those two things together. Okay. That's synchronization. As we'll hear in a minute, you're synchronizing both the song and the recording in most cases. So people will say, "Oh, they bought my music," or "I'm going to sell my music to this film." You're generally not selling things, so they get to keep it and they own it and they're done.
Right.
You're usually licensing. So bottom line is media producers, film companies, TV folks, ad agencies, they can't use any music in their creative work unless they own it or control it,
Capitalize.
right?
Yeah.
And if they don't own it or control it, they got to deal with the people that do own it or control it, right? So once again, there's a big difference between selling your music, which we might also call a work for hire, where you gave us $2,000, we're giving you this music, we're done here. Generally, we don't want to do that unless it seems like a good idea at the time.
You're
But
buying
you
the
want
permission
them
to use
There's a lot
it,
of zeros.
Yeah,
there.
to
and
give
it's
them the
still mine. Yeah.
yeah. What you want to do in as many cases as possible, which allows you to retain the rights to the music that you've created, is license the music to them. So that agreement is not media mogul purchasing your song and the recording, and we're done here, and you have no further rights to it. Instead, they're licensing it. So in this particular case, you want to say, okay, we're going to let you use this music, and how long is this license going to be in effect? All right, that's called term. Is this an independent film that's at a film festival? It might be 1 or 2 years. That's how long they have the rights to keep those things combined. They want to know where it's going to go. Is it all throughout the world and universe yet to be discovered?
Seen that? Yeah.
Right?
We've seen that on contracts.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily want to sell your music and the recording, that composition and that recording all bundled up and say, here, you can have it.
Right.
You want a license. And so what you're doing now is you're giving them permission. But then in that agreement, in that license agreement, and this applies to both the song as a composition as well as the recording, if you are controlling both of those things. So you're going to establish the term. How long is this license going to be in effect? For a film festival, it might only be 2 years. In most cases, it's going to be perpetual, for eternity.
In perpetuity.
In perpetuity, baby.
Yes.
The other thing you're going to have to establish is what territories. And in this particular case, it might be something, this is just a domestic usage. It's never going to go anywhere else. It's hardly the case anymore, especially with how things get moved over to other streaming services or clips appear elsewhere. It's hard to control that territory, but that is one of the terms. And then the third one is, what is the type of media? And if it's a film festival, then that's limited to that festival screening. They will not only have it in the theaters at the festival, but it's now, since COVID, not uncommon for them also to say, okay, if you're attending this film festival, we will do the streaming, but you're paying,
Gotcha.
as an attending person.
Right.
So those 3 T's, the term, the territory, and the type of media are the big parts of that license agreement. And then the other thing that can really drive the price up or drive it down is the type of use. Is this a feature, which of course all the songwriters want, or is it background use? And also the duration of the usage of the piece of music. Is it a 3-minute feature where everything stops and your music is completely dominating, or is it 20 seconds of somebody walking into a coffee shop and you hear your song in the background? So the whole idea here is that you have to define what that license is going to cover. But the good news is you continue to retain your rights to all those. Now, you might have co-writers. You might have other people that own that recording with you, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Right.
But the whole idea here is you've got an agreement that says, yes, you may combine this song and recording with your project, and here are all the terms.
Got it. So then
Gotcha.
you've also, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, moving on from that, you are the writer of that song. You might own the song, and we'll clarify that. But unless you give it away, then you're also the publisher of that song at the very beginning. Yeah. But when I was young, I didn't even know that there was I didn't know what these words mean. I just heard them and say, oh, okay, and no idea what that meant. Can we just clarify for our viewers, listeners, a publisher? What is a publisher?
Right. Strangely enough, they control the same amount of rights as the writers do. So there's a writer's side that equals 100% of writers, and then there's 100% of publishers. So,
Which,
this
interestingly, in Europe, they just use 100%.
Yeah, so we do 50-50. So it can be really confusing that you guys talk about 200% of stuff, and we talk about 100 and get very confused.
It's ASCAP uses that 50-50 model. BMI uses 100-100. Since the two of them have combined their search engine, this song view thing, they've gone to this 50-50 thing, and it's challenging. But the idea is that in terms of clearance and what shows up on a cue sheet, which we'll talk about later, you're going to see it equaling 100%. And you need to see total 100%. When they're trying to license something, and there's one writer that holds 1%, that is not answering the phone calls or the emails or the text, they are not going to be able to use that song, right? They need 100% buy-in. So it's easier to use the 100 thing, for our purposes here. But the idea is that the publisher is an administrator. They're not a creative. They might be if they're one and the same person. But the idea is that you've got somebody that's essentially representing that composition. And it could be yourself, or you might assign your publishing to somebody who can actually do something with your music.
So that's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
the company that handles your stuff.
Exactly. And they're going to get a piece of the pie. In fact, when it comes to performance royalties, which we'll talk about in a minute, or even mechanical license fees, same thing down the road, they share the same revenue that the writers get.
Right.
But I've always said it's better to get 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
And the other thing I found we're lucky enough to be represented by a couple of different publishers, and they've always been very good for us, that actually they're incentivized. They don't earn anything if you don't earn anything. So they if they just sit in something, it's a big fat nothing for them too.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little further with that down the road, David, about publishers that are very comfortable and no longer have to pitch.
Right.
And the writers are like, get my music out there.
Yeah, get on with it.
I mean, the role of the publisher is to, administrate the composition. Okay. And that's the composition, not the recording necessarily, right? It's mainly the composition. In our world, it's often they're representing both sides in terms of administrating, a license agreement. The other question that you had was what is a writer, or what constitutes being a writer? And that's someone that has actually creatively made this composition. And it gets really interesting. The age-old thing of, I wrote the music and so wrote the lyrics, and we're 50-50 and here you go. There's so much collaboration that goes on these days, and it's collaboration at all different kinds of levels. But once again, you need to be on the record as being a writer. Somebody's got to write it down somewhere, what those percentages are. But that entitles you to all kinds of downstream revenue from performance royalties and other uses of the composition. Doesn't matter if somebody else sings it or performs it instrumentally, makes a new recording. The writer is part of that machine. So you want to be a writer.
So we're separating out coming up with the creative idea from physically performing it and recording it.
Correct.
From recording,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
You can have somebody that can't sing or play a lick, but they can write the song. Maybe they croak it into a cassette machine.
It's me.
And
I can do that.
And then they get folks to record it or make a good arrangement, but that composition belongs to that person. And of course, you want to make sure that it's clear that it's yours as well. And once you start collaborating, once again, I don't usually make a big document. A lot of people will do split sheets, especially if it's like heavy duty writers that they're working for huge artists and there's real money and pressure there. In that case, you would have a sheet that lists everybody's percentages. But generally, we just in an email. Text I don't prefer because they're just harder to find, but within an email or once you register the song, and those splits go into the performing rights organizations, they're there to be looked at and retained. So we've talked about a publisher administrating the composition. Once again, they're administrating the composition, and then the writers, and then there's the recording.
Yeah, let's talk about the master recording.
Yeah. It's not the composition. It's a rendering of the composition. It's
I like that.
different set of rights, And this is where if you've written something really good that could be covered in a variety of ways, this is a good thing. If you're creating the recording, you don't own the composition. You're the performing artist, or you're the person that produced the recording, or you're a collection of people. Another big word of advice is that if you're a band, been together, oh, we wrote those original things and we're going to pitch them to see if we can get something going with sync. Please make an agreement amongst all your band members about what the splits are on the master recording, because that comes into play too. When you license something, they're going to want to know what the shares are for the writers. They want to know who controls the publishing, and they're going to want to know who controls the master recording.
So it's a different pot of money, right?
Yeah.
A master recording pot of money, a writer's pot of money, a publisher's pot of money.
Yes.
That's interesting.
When it comes to the world that we're talking about here, synchronizing that music with somebody else's story, they're synchronizing the composition, and that's the writers and the publishers on one side. That's all tied to the composition. And then they go, oh, but we heard this recording on YouTube of somebody doing the song. We want that recording. Well, they got to deal with the people that control that recording, right? And they have to work out an agreement with them, a license for them. So things can get tricky when a show says, oh, we really like the song, but our actor wants to sing it. So in that case, the master owner will be the production company that's producing the TV show. We do a lot of stuff on Y&R where we've got people on camera singing. Those recordings don't get released. They do very well for the writers and the publishers because they're on-camera performances that are featured, so the royalty rate is quite high, but there's no recording. We've got something coming up, which I can't talk about yet, that's written by one of our artists, Lindsay Foote. I can say her name. She's done other stuff for us. And she's going to wait until the show airs where the actors sing her tune. Then she'll release her own version of the tune. So if there's a bit of a buzz going on, then it'll come back to her. And she's sole owner of that.
So just to be clear here, playing devil's advocate here, the owner of the master recording may have nothing to do with the performing of the master recording.
Yeah, in the case of somebody on camera on a TV show or a film, doing it.
But you could just assign the ownership of the master to somebody else, right?
All right. Yeah, you could sell the rights. Yeah.
I could say, okay, I'll give you $100 and now you own my master recording, not me.
You could do that, but if you think that, I guess this comes down to what are the legs on this thing? Because master recordings, and we'll get to this in a minute, but in the U.S., they don't generate performance royalties. Elsewhere they do, neighboring rights. We'll get to that in a minute. But there might be a time where you just say, I'll just take the money for the recording and good luck with it. Right?
Yeah, I'm broke and I need the cash, so you take it.
Well, and if someone is underwriting your recording, they're going to own the masters, right? If someone is producing a band as the executive producer, then they own the masters to that.
I think they might be interested in the whole concept of music libraries and song catalogs and some business models. So when I first got into this, I was working at Soundtrack Studios in Boston. They also have a studio in New York. They were doing a lot of stuff, and they had what it's called a music library, a sort of a repository of music that they could put behind ads and industrials and whatever, and license those things out. As a composer, I would get paid like, what was it? $100 for writing something.
Mm-hmm.
I'd get paid $50 per tune that I played on in the session.
Mm-hmm.
And they bought out my master recording rights by doing that. They paid for the musicians, that it was their studio. They paid me as a composer. So they controlled the publishing and they controlled the master recording.
Right.
There's nothing I can do about that. And there's a few of those tunes that I really like. I wish I could get back. But they own them because they paid for them, and that's what the agreement was.
Right.
I think for us, what we're talking about here is folks producing their own recordings,
Right.
Controlling their own composition for the most part. And
Yeah.
then, what do you do when somebody
But it
reaches
is worth
out?
saying, I mean, like when we're working for a production music library, they own those master recordings because they're paying for them. So we don't own them, which means
Right.
we also can't choose where they go.
Right.
We don't own them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
So there's all different types of agreements that you could have with these different companies. And if they're paying for it, that usually means they own it.
Yep.
There's a big trend of them not paying for anything and just taking
And
on your
still
music
owning
and
it.
representing it. But what you want to do then is say to that company, all right, go push this stuff, but that's mine, right?
Mhm.
So you want to have an out, either be able to exit the contract or have an agreement that that recording belongs, to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so this gets into a lot of different deal points that you could go for. But I think to David's point, if you're working with a company that is paying you and paying for the costs of producing something, yeah, they want something for their money.
Sure.
Now they have incentive to get their money back, right?
Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
All
we
right,
should,
well, that's-
we should
that's
do a bit more
fantastic.
clarification, right, Jeff? We should a couple of other terms. What do we got?
Yeah. So, the next on our list is which a good ad, Brad, or producers, which we generally don't do much in the work that we do, but that's certainly a legit thing. So producers can take a percentage as well, correct?
It has to be worked out with the writers, because if they're going to make any money, I mean, generally you're reassigning your publishing folks, and that's just what you do.
Right.
You just want to have a deal where you can hopefully get it back without too much of a hassle. That's the kind of business model that I have with my company. It's like, hey, if this tune is not working out, have it back.
Can I have it back, please?
Yeah. And go. Good luck. I don't take on stuff that I don't think is going to fly. But sometimes the scenes that are needed don't happen for 7 or 8 years. So you got to wait it out.
You know what? We forgot to mention in the intro that you have the Brad Hatfield Music Collective, which is your own library. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a little
got
sidebar.
That started just because getting onto the team of composers, that was part of something that was acceptable for me to be able to represent other people's music as long as I was fully the publisher or half a co-writer.
Right.
So they needed music that I couldn't create. So we had folks that could, and I was able to sign them and get their music on, and that's working really well for us. But to bring it full circle, a lot of those folks use producers because they are not capable of recording things themselves. They don't either have the facility or they don't have the ability to make a mix that's broadcast ready. And this is an education for a lot of these younger or newer folks, I should say. I shouldn't say young, because some folks older are just getting into it and they have talent. And they're relying on folks that can push the buttons and turn the knobs to make their music work. Now you can pay a producer. You could go into a studio and say, I'm going to pay you $750 to just make this happen in the studio. I've got my musicians in here. Can you just make sure that it goes to tape right, and that the mix comes out with the right stuff on it, and that you give me some guidance and blah, blah, blah. And it could be a fixed fee. But some producers might say, hey, you know what? I kind of wrote half of the hook, sort of, or I, contributed this beat.
So 10% of it should be mine, of the publisher.
So, or writers,
Or for
writers.
writing.
Yeah, because the publishing just tends to disappear in most of our cases. It usually gets assigned to somebody else. It's not usual that you get to retain it.
So you're giving them writers. You're giving away a portion of your writers.
The becoming collaborator.
Income.
Yeah.
Yeah, might be 5 or 10%. It could be anything, whatever they can work out. But this could, in lieu of paying the producer, you're giving them points. So she, the producer is like, look, I believe in this song and I know you have a good connection. So I'd rather, be part of that downstream thing for the next 10 years rather than I don't need the cash right now, right?
So it's buying an eighth of a racehorse and saying it's going to win a race at some point, and when it comes in, I'm
It's a
there.
great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And it sometimes does take years. I have to laugh when something comes up that I did like 15 years ago that never saw the light of day, but finally ends up in something. It's like, ka-ching,
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
So let's move on to a couple of other terms. Let's talk about, we've mentioned a couple of things. We've talked about mechanicals and we've talked about neighbouring rights. Let's put some meat on those bones. Let's talk about mechanical royalties. What are those?
Mechanical licenses are the most obvious use is you want to cover somebody else's song. So you go to Harry Fox, HFA, Harry Fox Agency, and you go, who controls this song? Because I want to put out a recording of it. It used to be a CD, it could be an LP or a cassette these days. And you want to cover it and just release it just as a standalone song. We are not talking about sync. This is really important. Mechanical licenses have nothing to do with sync, except for something I'm going to address in a minute. But this license just allows you, gives you the rights by paying for this license, this mechanical license, to distribute and reproduce, even if you don't sell anything. If you're handing them off the stage while you're out on tour and just signing them or whatever, that's a unit.
So I want to cover this dude's thing. I buy a mechanical license and then I can either perform it, stream it, my recording of it, that is.
Yeah, a performance of the recording. In other words, yes, it could get radio play, it could get streamed, it could physical copies. When you get the mechanical license, you say, how many copies are you going to make of this? And this is what gets really dodgy. How many streams are you going to get in this period of time? Very tough.
4 billion.
Who the hell knows? Right?
Well, you'll be paying a lot, so you want to.
I guess so.
Aim low.
Probably 20.
You pay in advance those mechanical license fees, and there's services now. I just had an artist that I was just producing that they were all covers on her jazz thing. And so I think it was called Easy Song. I could be incorrect there, but that's a company that helps you get the mechanical licenses. They charge a fee for it, and then they say how many units are you creating, and then what do you think you're going to stream, and then you're responsible, year after year to reboot if you're streaming more.
You got to guess how many streams you're going to get, and if you're horribly wrong, you have to pay.
You're going to pay something up front, David, and if it goes really well, I don't know how they keep track
later.
of it, beyond my scope.
Boy.
But then you pay again. But the idea here is you just have that permission to cover that composition. Where does that money go? Those fees go to, there might be a middle person, like I just mentioned, somebody that helps it go along. But the publishers and the writers share in that mechanical. And I think now it's like 12 cents per unit for songs under 4 minutes. So the rate finally went up after many, many years sitting at 9.1.
And in the UK, just for our UK audience, this is the Mechanical Copyright Protection Society, the MCPS, which is now allied with the PRS, which is really confusing because it looks like they're one organization, but they're not. It's just they happen to put it in their title. So, for Harry Fox, read MCPS in the the UK.
So the one time you might see a mechanical license be associated with sync at all is that a song is licensed, sync licensed for use in a movie, before the movie comes out, they go, we're going to release a soundtrack. And in which case, that unit, it's not combined with picture. They're putting out either a streaming form of it, or maybe a double green vinyl LP. I don't know what they're going to do. But anything that's not tied to the picture, that's just streamable or downloadable or hard copy, that requires the mechanical license. And those things still could be negotiated, at least in the States. They don't always pay what the government says you're supposed to pay. That's
Right.
a whole other conversation.
So a movie producer is doing a movie and he wants to use the song Blue Moon, right?
Yeah.
And he gets an artist to sing Blue Moon to put in his movie. They don't need a mechanical license to do that even?
They need the sync license to put that song
In the movie.
to picture. Yep.
Okay.
And then if they decide that they're going to release that version, let's say it's an actor singing it, and they want to release that as a soundtrack thing,
Then they
that
need a mechanical for that.
mechanical has to be negotiated, and it's always based on units or streams, which makes it
And what about neighboring rights? Where are we? I know you don't have them, but we do.
Yes.
So, ka-ching!
Thank God. Woo!
Won't you be my neighbor?
So we should just clarify.
Yeah. So in the States, at least in the sync world, it's a lot of deals were made because the movie companies were just grabbing this and grabbing that and making it somewhat challenging for writers and publishers to keep pace with the change of technology and what was getting paid out, and this whole concept of, we're going to get a royalty every time our song is played. So the companies were, because it's the networks, at least with TV, it's the networks that pays these performance royalties. We'll look at that closer in a minute. But the writers and publishers are getting these performance royalties every time that song is broadcast.
So it's a performance royalty. A neighboring
Yes.
right is a royalty for the players, not the writers.
Well, it's the writers. The neighboring is different. So I just want to clarify that in the States, it's the writers and publishers that are making those performance royalties. If it's streamed, right, not associated with a picture, then there are agencies that do collect Sound Exchange, which will collect money from these streamers. Those rights, it's writer publisher on one side and master owner and performer on the other side. So streaming in the US, we actually do make some money. They're collecting money for those performers and for the owners of those master recordings. But in sync, they do not in the US, but in the UK and everywhere else in the world, except maybe North Korea and the US, they do not collect these fees that would be allocated to performers and owners of the recording. So neighboring rights are those rights that are adjacent to the composition, and they are getting paid, per performance. So one of the things that a lot of folks in the States try to do is like, how can I align myself with an entity in Europe or some other place and say, or have things recorded there where they will abide by those rules, so that other income stream comes in. I know Jeff and you are doing much better with that than I am. I'm just like,
Well,
I got enough on my plate. I'm not chasing them down, but there are agencies that you can use to go track down those.
And you know what? It's
neighboring
really interesting. When we just a sidebar here, ding, we did this years and years ago. For years, we weren't allowed to collect them just due to the vagaries of the publisher that we were with. That wasn't a thing. And then when it became a thing and we were allied to one of these agencies, I think it was Global Master Rights at the beginning, now called Peer Music, they said, okay, write down every tune, all of the things and who played what. And we're like, you've got to be kidding me. I need to remember who played every. And then we had to prove what we did on that. So hold on, did you play the maracas on that tune, or was I the triangle player, or did you sing it? And we had to go through all of that. But the flip side to that is now we get a check every
Yes.
quarter
Yeah.
that made it worth it. So it's worth media writers in Europe certainly knowing that if you play on your own compositions, you get paid as a writer, you might get paid as a publisher, you might get paid as a master owner, but you also get paid as a player.
Right.
And the PPL in the UK collects that. I'll get off my horse now, but yeah, it's important.
No, it is important.
Because it's a pot of money.
There's a fair chunk of change that could
Yeah.
come your way. Absolutely.
It's tedious. I mean, I've just got hundreds of. I mean, a bunch of our jazz stuff gets streamed on this service called the Jazz Groove, and one of my employees actually is one of the
the curator, or does he work for?
yeah, A&R, and puts the playlists together. She just came back to me and said, "Okay, you've got these recordings that we're using. Some of them are over 20 years old.
Who
Who's
played?
on those?"
Yeah, you're like,
So
oh.
now I'm emailing these people like, "Do you remember playing on this session?"
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it's so that's the other thing, which we haven't gotten to yet, but details matter. And so when you are creating music and making the recordings, please
Remember
do a good
this
job
stuff.
of
Write it
storing
down.
all that data,
Well,
because you're going to need
and
it.
also
Yeah.
the MIDI realization is a performance too.
Yeah.
So even if you're not in a different studio, you're at home and you're just playing it yourself,
Right.
that counts.
That's a performance. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's important in this day and age as well. So that's useful. So we've gone through a bunch of stuff.
We got one more.
What's the other
a
one?
needle drop? What's a needle
Needle
drop?
drop.
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's an old school term, because back in the day, one of our good friends, Paul Antonelli, a music supervisor, he used to work at the network. I think it was CBS, and when he first got started, literally would be running down the hallway to a place that was the music library, and they had LPs
Wow.
of dramatic music that they would play live
Wow.
while they were filming dramas.
Ah.
And he goes, "Okay, I need some tension, I need some joyful, I need some hopeful," and they literally would drop a needle down on the spot.
Wow. I
and
didn't know
that
that's where the term came from.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So it's a one-time use of a piece of music. So it's just in terms of, and they're usually source music for the most part, meaning in the background. Source music typically is people walk into a cafe, there's music coming out of the ceiling. Or maybe there's somebody over in the corner playing guitar and singing softly. But it's music that's within the environment where the characters are, right? And by the way, this is like the heaviest use of music that happens in sync is background. So if you're dreaming about one feature after another, keep dreaming.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you can, do good source music.
Oh, God bless
then-
source music.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a career for us, right? It's
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
we live on it.
Yeah.
It's insane when the music does come forward. It's great. Features
Absolutely.
are great. Pays more in a lot of different ways. But yeah, the needle drop is just like a single usage. With that being said, you might be dealing with an entity that says, "Hey, we like your catalog and we want to use 10 songs per episode or 5 songs per episode," and they might just say, "Hey, we're going to give you $5,000 and we're just going to choose what we want out of your catalog." But typically it would be a very clear
One thing.
one-time use. Yeah, that would be licensed.
So let's take a scenario here. Let's imagine a situation. I've just written a song. And I'm pretty stoked about it. And I pitch it to you, Mr. Film Producer or Director or Production Company, and you say, "Actually, we like that. We'd like to use it." Now what?
Yeah.
What
yeah.
happens now?
Right. Well, first of all, this is where you're dotting I's and crossing T's. You have to have complete control over this, or administrative rights to it. So if somebody says, "I want to use that," they don't want their job to become hard. They don't want to have to go searching out other folks or find out later that there was a fourth writer that wasn't mentioned because he ran off with the bass player and pissed everybody
Again?
off. Yeah, I know. That's like the second time. So yeah, I've had a couple of curveballs happen where they go, "Oh yeah, I got it all covered," and then they send in this file that's got two other people's names on it. I'm like, these people are not signed. So have your house in order. Make sure that it's clear who all the writers are, what their percentages are. Also, their PRO, Performance Rights Organization affiliation is BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, PRS, whatever. And what about the publishing shares? You want to make sure that that is also super clear in the percentages and the PRO affiliations. And then lastly, just bringing up that once again, they heard your recording of this, I'm assuming. And so they want to know, who controls that master. Am I negotiating with you, or is there somebody else? Is it a record company that owns that master? Who are we talking to here? So make sure you have all that stuff lined up.
Right.
More than likely, depends upon the level. If you're a newbie, it's more than likely not going to be a huge feature. So maybe it's going to be a background use, and now you got to kind of figure out, what should I be asking for? Well, ask around to people that know something or have a general idea before you open your mouth.
So they ask you. They ask you what you want for it. They don't say, "We've got $1,000."
They may do that. They may
depends,
just say,
yeah.
"Here's what we're paying."
Okay.
And it's MFN, most favored nations, or we've got a set budget. We know we have X amount of cues. Yours falls into this bucket, background use.
I'm sorry,
and it
Brad.
goes to following into this
MFN?
ending watch. MFN, most favored nations. So this is basically an agreement that when they make an agreement with one party, if you say, I want MFN, with so-and-so or whatever you've already negotiated, if you were going to come in at $4,000 and they've negotiated $20,000 and you say, I want MFN, suddenly you're getting $20,000. And of course, it can be a budget busting thing.
So then they'll go, well, we don't like your music that much.
Or
Right.
we can't do this,
Right.
So they might show their hand. They might just say, hey, here's what we've got. If you're further up the food chain, it's a more featured use, then there's going to be sort of a history that record company that might be representing the recording or the publishers that are representing the song. If it's a more established piece of music, you go, yeah, well, they used it in this show or this film, and for that we got X. You're looking at distribution. I mean, you have to look at it. Is this a film festival or is this Marvel?
Right.
What are we talking here? Because, sometimes that number comes at you, or based on my own experience with when I was working with a publisher that was representing my music, I would see what those numbers were. So I felt like I know what I'm talking about because I have experience with this. But if you're brand new,
I didn't have a clue.
Maybe don't say anything yet.
Yeah, I had
check with
absolutely no idea. Somebody says, what are you looking for? And you think, I have no idea what to ask for. And there's that terror of, what if I ask for $5 more than they're willing to pay and they just say no and never come back?
Yeah.
And you just don't know.
Yeah, the idea here is that if they really like the tune, it's negotiable. And also, folks, there's more on the table than just the money. In terms of the licensing terms, that might be negotiable, or there could be a lot of different things. Or you might just limit the term of the license, especially if it's a film festival. There's other things that you could do to say, okay, this is not about the cash. It's about
getting money
else.
from this 6-7 years from now.
So people don't get pissed off with you if you want to actually negotiate stuff. You shouldn't be scared to.
You should put a number out there, but it has to be based on something. It has to be.
Can't just be made up.
You have to come up with a number that makes sense. If for background use, unknown artist, more than likely, it's not going to be a big ask. If you've got 4 billion YouTube streams that everybody's talking about your tune, and they want to use it in a more featured way,
Yeah,
go
it's
for it,
different.
baby.
Yeah,
Got some juice.
There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
But yeah, it's dodgy. But I would say consult somebody else. you know, before you put that number out there. And if you're new, you just want to get in. So don't go hardball and then blow an opportunity that could have gotten you going.
That's always the hard bit, right?
Yeah. Well, the first stuff that I ever did, you know, that somebody asked me to do for free, I'm like, I got a family. What are you talking about? You know, but then it was on TV, you know, 10 days later, and I'm still getting paid for that. And that's 25 years ago.
Well, I mean, I think about the first thing I did when you gave me the opportunity to do something.
Yeah.
I paid to do it.
Yes.
I mean, I paid a band to do it, not on a promise, but on a possible maybe thing. So you're kind of crossing your fingers and hoping to, you know.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, I mean, you always are working for free in the beginning. You're just working for the opportunity, right?
It's risk tolerance and it's cash flow, and it's an understanding of like, I feel good about this. Eventually it's going to happen. Maybe that gets me to the other thing is that, David, you started it off with saying, well, I've written this thing. And, you know, and now they're come after me. Yeah. But if you're thinking about just getting into this business and trying to build up a catalog, which you kind of have to do, it's trying to get lucky with 2 songs. That's throwing a dart from 100 yards out. It's just very tough.
It's like buying a lottery ticket. It's no different.
Yeah. But if you really listen to how music is used in the areas that you think you would do well in, that should be your first guide. Do your research. See how music gets used in actuality, not just what you're in your mind's eye of like your big feature and your big moment. But you got to create useful music, and that's not only just the composition itself, which has to be great, but it also has to be able to live in the background. So you've got to be economical with pretty much everything, and consistent in your textures. Don't ignore your intros, and especially endings. On our show, endings take you to commercial or take you out of the scene. That might be the only time you hear the song is the last 7 minutes.
We've talked endlessly about, we often talk, Brad, I know you wouldn't have heard it, but we usually start our talks about albums we've done with me saying, I've got a bug up my ass about the intro on this tune. And we've done that time because I've got 4 seconds to tell you where I am and what we're doing here. What are we doing? But intros. Yeah. It's interesting what you say about endings because maybe I haven't thought about that as much.
Never fade. If they need a fade, they will do that.
Absolutely.
But if they have a hard ending, especially on daytime, where there's the look and then there's the other look and then the commercial. Anyway, to have a pinpointed moment where that hits and rings out to whatever length that they want is so much better than these people. They send us stuff, especially dance stuff, that just abruptly ends. Right. And it's like, can't use that. Or if it ends with just the vocal, sometimes you can have that Grey's Anatomy moment. Depends on the tune, where that, if the lyric works, you can do that. But I'm telling you, it's like turn the vocal off or the lead instrument off and you listen to that ending. Does it make sense? Is this something that would work in a movie or a TV show or an ad?
Absolutely.
Do you want, something we've kind of maybe overdone, God forbid, when I was
going to say, we've done endings to the nth degree. Yeah, where they're like, okay, we only want 4, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that helpful?
It is. It's funny. I tend to do that more with a score than songs, because how you leave a scene with, is it going to be hopeful, sympathetic? Is it going to be, oh crap? Is it going to be, we're going to be all right? These are 4 different emotions that cue could be going in any one of those directions. And some of them, I just get to the end and I go, all right, I've clearly, led people this direction. Yeah. But this cue is useful. I'm going to put it down the middle. So I'll often use these sort of, like even just ending on a 4 chord rather than 1 leaves you lifted up a little bit. We hardly ever have a resolution in a major chord. In fact, I can't think of one, except maybe on a wedding scene where, yeah, we're good, Well, for now. Anyway.
Oh,
But it just usually there's always some sort of suspension in there. I
Right.
use a lot of Lydian stuff that is just like bright, but
maybe.
And then if I'm really going full on Wagnerian, it's minor 7 flat 5s. I don't go full on diminished. That's just a little too old school.
Too much. I love it. Okay, so
Well, yeah, you want people to come back after the commercial, right?
So just
Gotta leave
take-
them like, what's going to happen? Right.
I want to make one more point about creating useful music. That also comes to the mixes and using stems, which are combinations and groupings of the elements that are in the song. We live on the ability to have music supervisors and music editors make their job easy and please directors and producers that might be saying, oh, that's bugging me, that saxophone thing, or that vocal, the lyrics are in the way. So when you make your mix, make the full mix, do a mix with no vocal at all, just the track. And then we go a few steps further. We'll use like all the keyboards and guitars types of stuff. That goes into one stem. And then bass and drums go into one stem. And then, of course, we have the isolated vocal in one stem. So that's our general thing. All those fit into a brick, exact same starting and ending point. So they can drag the whole thing in to their DAW and go against picture, and they can edit freely, and then they can go, oh yeah, that vocal's in the way. Or you know what, I've got score coming in, we're going to strip this down to just bass and drums. So that source music still has that energy, but it's not harmonically getting in the way of these new sustained things that are coming
It's
in.
interesting, 15 years ago, I don't know how you remember this, Jeff, but when we were doing stuff 15 years ago, we weren't asked for stems.
No, stems have become
now it's become this
thing
whole
in the last
thing.
really 5-6 years. It feels like, which is good.
And now you even have software that says, "I'll take care of that for you, sir." And just there's that Andrew Sherp's, what's it? I can't even think what it's called. There's some software that will bounce factory or whatever it's called, and you just set it, go get a coffee, and all of your stuff's done.
That you programmed in, yeah.
God bless it.
I don't know. I still do every stem that I make. I never just bounce. I do it in real time, which means I'm standing around a lot to the point where my Apple Watch says it's time to stand up, and I'm like, I've been standing for an hour. So I do everything in real time. I'm mixing back into my DAW. I never just bounce stuff out because I don't trust that there's not going to be a reverb send from the vocal that's still on, that's permeating the bass and drum track, or I hear some crappy playing in there. I'm like, oh man,
I got to fix that. Right.
That's usually the big
That's a salient point, because actually I tried some of that stuff and I found I used it for about an hour and then realized I was listening back to everything I'd done in real time. Anyway, I was like, well, I might as well have just cut it. It's just a waste of time.
Well, I clearly don't, because I have sent stuff to Brad where he'd be like, hey, Jeff, there's a vocal bleed on the drum and bass track. You want to fix that? Yeah. Sorry.
We got to listen to everything. We have like 3 sets of ears, with the company. And so as long as somebody catches it, because the last thing I need is to get everything over to the show. They've brought it into their machines, and now I go, sorry, here's a new thing.
But actually, it's really interesting. One of the great things, I know we're not today's sermon is not about collaboration, but one of the great things about collaborating is that everything you do, I listen to, Jeff. I mean, if I've cut a mix, you listen, and we cut. We always fix each other's crap. I mean, just there's always something you miss because you're listening over and over and over again, and you just get tolerant to something that somebody else says, is that supposed to be there? And you think, no. But okay. Maybe we should talk about AI.
Yeah.
Boom, ching, and that'll bring it down. Like everybody was really happy, and now they're like,
no. Having such
I think it's time for the diminished chord now.
You can use it.
Wait a minute.
Because, I wish I'd heard it. So how is this impinging on stuff? I mean, I know it infringes on the copywriting thing, but where are we? I mean, as of February 2026, I'm going to put that because this will be out there for years, permeating for people to listen to, and it'll be robots watching this in 10 years' time.
But the AI watches this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but as of 2026 February, how is the AI copyright thing impinging on your ability to make money? Let's bring it back to money and rights.
Yeah, there's always going to be music that's being generated that's useful, but maybe not something that you would want to carefully zone in on. So you think about spa music, or in the old days, airport music, where it's just vibe and texture, not a big melodic commitment, not anything that could be like a good song could be played by a solo violin, or orchestra. The tune is there, So there's always going to be people and machines and machine learning that are going to generate stuff that's going to knock a true artist, composer, producer out of a slot. So that's just going to continue to happen. It's just the way that technology goes. Am I worried about it? Nah, because I'm kind of like I'm on the backside of all this. You young folks have to really worry about this.
Luckily,
I think
we're not.
what are the concerns now? The concerns now is that, and this is just, there was a big thing just recently. I thought it was maybe a Disney thing. Is that some, machine learning, language learning, AI technology was indeed taking images, that were copyrighted and somehow finding their ways into things it was generating and creating. So this is a fear that some music supervisors have, is that somebody's generating a song and then it turns out there's a problem lying underneath it that only comes forward when that show or movie becomes really popular, and then that song is heard by somebody with enough power to go sue, right? Mm-hmm. It's usually, you're only going to get sued when you're making money, and then of course they have the ability to chase it down. So there is a little bit of a fear factor, I think, with supervisors dealing with folks that aren't known entities, that they might have a fear that a indie artist, oh yeah, I got all these tracks from, what is it, Suno or one of these other, things. So you can get something to come out of AI, but when I've got a director or a music supervisor talking to me in real time saying, I need a little more hope right here, I can just fix it because I'm talking to them and I got my keyboard here and I can go, oh, you know what? That English horn thing is giving you that sort of
melancholy
dying vibe, So we'll get rid of the English horn. We'll go with a more positive sound. Are you going to be able to do that, or are you going to go back to AI and go, this is too sad here? They told me it's too sad. Don't make it so sad.
Prompt.
And then hope that AI, figures it out. So I think, especially if you're working to picture, where those moments, those movements, those looks, the story behind how you got to this scene is a human thing. Mm-hmm. That's got, it's not just what's happening right now. Oh, make it look this way. No, but he's thinking about something that happened 3 months ago. And we know that because we just watched the film and they just showed us the flashback. Mm-hmm. So we know how that person is feeling.
It's too linear to just be able to do that. And it's also worth saying, I'm not going to name check the person because I didn't ask permission, but we were chatting not so long ago with somebody who works for one of the publishers we write for, who is intimately involved with dealing with understanding how companies feel about AI and what they're prepared to use. And there is a real, at least at time of recording, there is a pushback and a fear of, we want to use music made by human beings, because there's a litigious element to this and we don't actually know where the prompt, was that stolen from somewhere, or was it, where did that come from? And B, because it's a bit like LPs making a return. They want human stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, should we be worried here? Should we be putting all our money on red in the casino, or what do we do? And he said, nope, doesn't feel like that at time of recording as we are at the moment. It doesn't feel like that at all. So for all of the doom and gloom, it may not be the case through all of the food chain at all levels of what's being used. But certainly for people that are making this stuff right, it doesn't feel that way.
And David, to your point about the human thing, and also making yourself survive these technological things, you got to educate yourself, and you got to be able to embrace the technology as it works for you. You've got to make yourself,
unique,
indispensable.
Yeah, indispensable. Right.
Yeah. And it's not only just delivering the music; it's understanding the story that they're trying to help tell, and being a good listener. And we chatted about this in a previous meeting, and that most of the feedback I get from my music supervisors, or might be coming from directors or producers, but through the music supervisors, they're rarely talking in musical terms. They're talking in emotional terms,
right.
And they're talking about history and forecasting what's coming up. This is all human stuff,
right?
And you've got to be a human to appreciate what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Well, God bless that.
I've used AI vocals. I have an artist that sent something in. Vocal was killing. Total AI. I mean, just type in the line, type in the lyrics, and then you can go to work and choose different voices. Scary. So from a performance standpoint, especially vocally, that's tough, because this stuff is getting really good. So
wow.
I don't know. Yeah. What can you do? You can only worry about what you do and make the art that you make, right?
Yeah. And then also make sure that you're part of this downwards, the stream of the creation. So being a writer, most importantly, is the big thing,
Yeah.
And keeping track of all your details.
Well, gentlemen, I think that we've done a much better job on this pod than we did on the last pod.
Yeah,
that's
when nobody's looking,
because we didn't do any of it. Brad did it all.
When nobody's looking, Brad, one day we'll show you what we originally recorded, where we got about 3 definitions in and went, wait, no, what does that mean? No, that doesn't mean that. And just descended into mayhem of this is useless.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Well, we can't thank you enough for defining a bunch of these things for us. And I think a lot of people are going to find it very useful.
And once again, I'm just going to point people towards your music supervision. Where can they find it, Brad, the music supervision class?
Yeah, Berklee online. So if you just look that up and then type in music supervision, you will see 2 courses now, a regular one and then a more advanced one. And then I also have songwriting for film and TV, which is also going to share a lot of the music, and that's all been redone. I just revamped that like a year ago.
Oh, cool!
So that's all been updated, and education, knowledge is power. Good music is powerful. Aligning yourself with folks that can do something with your music. If you try to do it all yourself, that's great. You own everything, but if you can't find a home for it, that's a challenge. And then the other thing is take care of business. Make sure that you've got all the bits and pieces of who owns what down, and that you're working with stuff that you have permission to work with and offer it up. And then you're going to make other people, the supervisors and producers' jobs easy. This should be our number one concern. How can I help you tell your story? Is all we should be saying. How can we help you tell your story?
That's fantastic.
And make your life easier. Yeah.
This is great. Well, I really appreciate the time. This has been very, very interesting. I might go back and watch this and make some notes, actually, because it's like, that was gold. I wanted that. But, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for the time, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
My great pleasure being with both of you, Jeff and David. Just great.
All right, fantastic. Until the
Thanks
next
for
time.
listening, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it easy.